The idea of Russell Wilson coming to New York, and now it's become legitimate because, remember, the talk the last couple of days has been about, well, would he waive his no trade to come to the Giants? Why would he want to come to the Giants? The Giants stink. Yeah, well, you're right. The Giants do stink. They don't have any offensive line. Why would he want to come to New York? But if you do the math a little bit and use a little common sense, because it's New York. He's dating Sierra. And he looks at maybe the Giants as the franchise that they used to be. So Russell Wilson, the idea of him coming to New York, maybe that was a possibility. So that was one hurdle. And now you get the report from Jordan Schultz that the Giants are one of the few teams. The Broncos were in there, the Saints, depending on where you look, you see maybe the Eagles as well. But Russell Wilson would, in fact, reportedly waive his no-trade clause to come to the Giants. So that brings us to the idea then, well, would you want that as a Giant fan? Should the Giants do that if possible? We talked to Pat Leonard yesterday, obviously cleared up some stuff about Phil Simms. But we talked about Leonard yesterday and, asked him, is it even realistic with the salary cap? And it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case for the Giants. That's number one. Number two, would you give up a top pick to get Russell Wilson at age 33 at this point? Also, does it make you that much better that that's a move that you want to go out there with right now and make for this franchise? And the more I think about it, as much as I love Russell Wilson, and I do, and I think he's, as a matter of fact, I think he's the most underrated quarterback in the league. Because you always hear about Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. Well, Russell Wilson, to me, belongs in that category. I mean, nobody belongs in Brady's category, but you get the point. Talk about the upper echelon guys. Russell Wilson is an upper echelon guy. Even as recently as last year, I mean, he's throwing the deep balls as well as anybody in the NFL. Pinpoint accuracy, down the field, big-time plays. This year he's banged up. Clearly they have issues in Seattle with the offensive line, amongst other things. That's part of the reason why he hasn't been the same. But as much as I love Russell Wilson, I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. At age 33, coming off of, maybe a freak injury or whatever, but the injury now and a down year here. And he's getting a ton of money. And the Giants situation is not really conducive to win now. Whichever way you slice it, it's not. I think it would be a huge mistake for the Giants to go after Russell Wilson. Huge mistake. Now, I don't want to see Daniel Jones either, but maybe there could be the stopgap. Maybe it could be a Teddy Bridgewater, Ryan Fitzpatrick type for a year until you figure it out, unless you want to draft one this coming season and then bring one in. A young quarterback. I'm fine with that too. The reason why I wouldn't want to go with Daniel Jones in year 4 is because I already know what Jones is. I want to start the process of moving forward. I want to start the rebuild. It's funny, too. I was reading, you Google this stuff and what pops up, some article from Nesson where the writer goes, Wilson might be the best fit with the Giants. They might be the best fit for him because they have offensive weaponry that's above average. It is? That's news to me. What games are you watching? The Giants' offensive weaponry is above average? You think it's better than what it is in Denver for Russell Wilson? You think he'd be better off coming to New York than he would going to New Orleans with Sean Payton there? Come on now. Get out of here. But that plays to the point of why I wouldn't want Russell Wilson. It's different for Denver, where he could be the final piece. They already have a defense in place. They already have offensive weaponry that's in place. The Giants are a mess. No offensive line. The receivers can't stay healthy. The running back stinks. So what exactly will Russell Wilson add here other than his presence, his personality, his leadership? Yeah, those are great things, but is it worth giving up top picks and assuming you could even fit him into the cap? They're not in that spot. And that's even more of an indictment on the team because you wish you were in a position to where you could be able to go out there and bring Russell Wilson in. But they're not. That's a problem. They're so far from being a Russell Wilson away, it's sad. Which is why they're better off, regardless of who the head coach is, if they keep Joe Judge or not, regardless of how they transition from Dave Gettleman to the next general manager, whether it's in-house or outside, they're better off standing pat, building through the draft. I know, especially in New York, we want the quick fix. You want to go to the outside and bring in the others. Oh, well, this guy's a superstar, whether it's the Knicks, you can talk about Dame Lillard or Miles Turner, whatever. Oh, yeah, let's go get those guys. I know that, and now Russell Wilson, yeah, let's go get him and see if he's the answer. In reality, that's not the smartest or best way to go about rebuilding your franchise. And the Giants right now in prime position, if they don't screw this up, get Gettleman the hell out of here. All due respect, sir. Get Gettleman the hell out of here. Bring in a general manager who has a clue as to what he wants this team to be. Whether you keep Joe Judge, which I think would be a mistake just because I want clean start for everybody, but whether you keep Joe Judge or not, figure out the direction you want to go in, and then you have to hit in the draft or drafts moving forward, especially with those top picks. That, to me, is a better recipe for success, long-term success, maybe even short-term success, than it would be going out there trading top picks for Russell Wilson, if that's even feasible. If you think Russell Wilson on this Giants team would make a big difference, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're not watching the Giants. And you guys can sit there all you want and say, oh, Daniel Jones this and he hasn't had that. Well, put Russell Wilson in this spot. What do you think he would do? And we know how much better he is than Daniel Jones. He'd be better. They still wouldn't be winning. The Giants just are not good as a team. Not even close to it. You could name the quarterback. Put any quarterback. Tom Brady. Pat Mahomes. Whoever. They won't be any good. That's why they need to rebuild it inside out. Get good in the trenches. Build a good defense. And look, Russell Wilson, even when he won a Super Bowl, Legion of Boom. No, they had a great defense there. That's the bread and butter. They only recently started to let Russ cook. Throwing the football down the field, making big plays to explosive receivers. And look what's happened to him. When they start to build outside in, look what's happened to him. Defense clearly isn't the same. Nowhere near it. And the offense has regressed significantly even from just a year ago. Well, they struggle. They can't score. So it's enticing. It's exciting. I mean, look, for what we do, being sports fans, it's exciting. Talk Sports Radio, it's exciting. Oh, Russell Wilson, the idea of Russell Wilson. And I love Russell Wilson as a player. That's not the right fit. Not here. And the fact that he's even on the list, or that the Giants will be even on the list, I mean, maybe that tells you something too. If you're him, why the hell would you want to come to New York? And look, I love New York. I mean, it's the only place I ever wanted to be. It's the only place I care to be. But if you're him, I'm assuming you're trying to win. If you want to come to New York, it's not for the reasons that you would want as a Giant fan. It's not to get your football team over the top and win in New York. It's more, hey, I'm thinking about life after football. My wife is a superstar. It'd be easier for our family to function in New York. Those are the reasons. Because there's no way on earth you can tell me that the Broncos or even the Saints. See, the Saints are a quarterback away from being a playoff team. A team that could maybe do some damage in the NFC in the postseason. The Broncos, for sure, are a quarterback away. Especially a Russell Wilson quarterback. A special quarterback. The Giants, nowhere close. You think that's the right move to trade one of those top draft picks for Russell Wilson? Assuming you could even make it work? But the main hurdle, maybe not the main hurdle, probably the starting point. If Russell Wilson doesn't approve a trade to New York, it's not going to happen. And it sounds like the Giants, which one of these don't belong? You got the Saints, Giants, Broncos. Which one of them don't belong? One sticks out like a sore thumb. Or sore neck. But the fact that he would even be willing to waive his no-trade clause, that opens up now the speculation. When it happened a year ago, I didn't think it was realistic. But because, if you're a franchise that's got to get rid of Russell Wilson, you have failed miserably. That's pathetic. That is sad. Imagine that happening here. You get to and it has happened with certain guys, but not the quarterback like that. Imagine getting to the point where you got to get rid of Russell Wilson because you've been so inept you can't build around him. That's pathetic. A year ago, I didn't believe it. Well, now it's become a reality because Seattle, they need to hit the reset button. And they're looking to stockpile picks that they gave away for Jamal Adams. They want to get that pick back. How soon before Jamal starts crying again? Oh, Russell Wilson's out of here. No, I want to go too. I want to go back to New York. We have to go back. Like Jack and Lost. We have to go back. 877-337-6666. Steve in Middletown. What's up, Steve?
Hey, how you doing, Sal? First time, long time. How you doing?
Good,
Um,
Steve. Thanks for calling. What's up?
I totally agree with your take on, and also Boomers this morning on Russell Wilson and the Giants. I mean, you can't trade away or exchange that draft pick. You know, Russell Wilson was so worried about getting hit and all the tackles and all the damage he's taken over this time, and he even went to the head out honchos to complain about it. What does he think is going to happen to him with this offensive line?
But forget Wilson's perspective, because you don't really care about him unless he's with the Giants. Right now, from a Giants perspective, Steve, why would you want to do that? What would be the, do you think you're going to win now with Wilson? Because you're only getting him if you can win now. He's not the quarterback of the future. I mean, it's going to take years before the Giants are competent again.
That's right. And the thing is, like I said, with the offensive line, you still have these wide receivers and tight ends that are sitting on the bench injured. You still got Saquon Barkley that averages 3 to 5 yards a carry, if lucky. I mean, it's not a good move. You're absolutely, I completely concur. Not a good move. Build from within with your picks. And what are you going to do? Rent the guy for a year and then he leaves? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, I think it would be a long-term thing. And thanks for the call, Steve. Appreciate you checking in. I'm assuming you wouldn't make that deal unless you knew you would be able to lock him up long-term. Now, look, there might not even be a choice. The Giants might not even be able to fit him in their salary cap disastrous situation. There's so much of a mess. He might want to come here. They might not even be able to get him. But they shouldn't. It's the same thing with the Knicks, and we'll get to them and the back-to-backs. Oh, why even bother watching a back-to-back in the NBA anymore? I mean, these teams don't even compete. It's pathetic. And I've had it with the Knicks. I gave them the benefit of the doubt earlier in the week or last week whenever I was on, you know what? They're better than they were, for the last 2 decades. Give them a break. Well, now it's gotten to a point where they're non-competitive and just mailed it in, which is something they didn't do a year ago. It's disgusting. But the point is, similar to with the Giants, a patient rebuild is what's needed. Don't go out there and try to trade for Dame Lillard and give up picks and give up young players. The only way you truly have sustained success is if you draft and develop. Say the same thing about the baseball. Yankees, Mets, doesn't matter. You can go out there and get all the big, sexy free agents you want. Ultimately, it comes down to drafting and developing. That's what leads you to long-term success. Jets, Giants, Mets, Yankees, Knicks, doesn't matter. Same thing. Rangers. Igor. By the way, I was going to lead with the Rangers today if they won last night. When they, came back, they were down 1-0. You expect them to lose to Colorado, backup goalie in there. Colorado's hot, whatever. But when they came back and started answering some of the goals from Colorado, I was like, man, I might lead with I'm going to change it up and lead with the Rangers tomorrow. And then, of course, they lost. But anyway, look at how they do it. Make smart trades. Draft well, develop your talent. I know it's a combination, and you want a piece in a free agent here or there, sure. But ultimately, the foundation of the long-term sustained success is from drafting and developing. Bill calling from St. James. What's up, Bill?
Sal, the game is won with an offensive line and a defensive line. And the Giants also need an edge rusher. You're not going to win it with Lorenzo Carter and O'Shane Ximines. They need to get an edge rusher, and they need to get 2 offensive linemen. And, you mentioned Teddy Bridgewater. Did you see Teddy Bridgewater last week and the week before when he was a little pansy when he went to make a tackle?
His job is to be a quarterback. Yeah, when he ran the other way, I did see that. His job is not to tackle. I mean, he's got to go the other way. If you were a defensive player, I'd be worried about that. The reason why I brought up Teddy Bridgewater, Bill, is, and it doesn't have to be him, but that stopgap quarterback. The way that New England had one after Brady, before Mac Jones with Cam Newton. The way that other teams go out there and say, okay, we'll use Fitzpatrick. Miami did it successfully a couple years ago in the bridge to Tua Tagovailoa. So there are ways where you can – I'm tired of seeing Daniel Jones. I'm done with Daniel Jones. So I want somebody new. And if that quarterback's not going to be a rookie quarterback this year, then why not the stopgap? What's wrong with that?
Sal, the Giants need a president of operations, number one. And number 2, they need to get rid of Gettleman, which you agree with me.
Yeah.
And at that particular point, we need to have a guy in there. I mean, what's your recommendation for a new president of operations and general manager, and I'll hang up.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Appreciate the call. Somebody from the outside, somebody that has no familiarity with the Giants and how they run their organization. I think they need a fresh, clean start. Go find somebody from another organization. I don't care how old they are, but I want somebody that's going to think forward, not think backwards and be like, well, this is how we did it in the 70s and 80s. And believe me, I'm an old school guy. I love, I wasn't around really in the 70s, but I love the 80s and the 90s and some of the 2000s. 2010s were, the early 2010s were good, but anyway, you get the point. I want somebody who's going to be forward-thinking and say, okay, this is what this organization needs. This is what I like about the way that it's structured here. This is what needs to be changed. And this is what I would do. Let him, whoever that person, him or her for that matter, let them make the decisions in that front office. You want to hire a new head coach? Go ahead, all you. You think there's something with Joe Judge worth keeping? You like the foundation? Here's what I would say, too, when it comes to the head coach. I would tell whoever the new general manager is, look, I'm giving you final say on all the football moves, but you don't get another chance at a head coach. You get one. So make sure it's the right one. Now, you can keep Joe Judge here if you'd like, but just remember, this is not going to be 2 years from now, yeah, Joe Judge really wasn't my guy. He was already here. No, none of that. If you choose Joe Judge, that's your choice. That's on you. You two are now tied at the hip. And if it doesn't work in the next 3-4 years, then you're both gone. I don't know if I would necessarily say that flat out. You probably wouldn't hire the guy, but you get the idea. If you get to pick one head coach, whoever you want. Could be Judge, could be somebody from the outside. But I think the Giants need a full, total evaluation from somebody that's not within that organization right now. And I would assume that whoever that is would come in and say, there's no way in hell I'm giving up a top draft pick. With the salary cap situation that we're in, with the roster that we currently have constructed here, there's no way in hell I'm giving up a top pick to bring in Russell Wilson. As much as I love Russell Wilson, I'm not doing it. At age 33 of Russell Wilson, with the team nowhere near ready to win, why would I do that? Why am I going to give up top picks? The way you win in all sports is to draft and develop well. And the Giants, unfortunately, again, are going to find themselves in a spot where they're going to have a high pick. In this case, too. And the reason why they continue to find themselves in these spots is because they keep picking the wrong damn players. Predating Gettleman. The idea that it's Gettleman is wrong. The defense is wrong. It's not just Gettleman. He's the problem. He's got to go. This predates Dave Gettleman. This is Jerry Reese. This is ownership. This is the handling of Coughlin and Ben McAdoofus. This has been going on for years. Time for a change. Enough. And Russell Wilson will be the same thing. You get excited because he's an name, because he's an all-time great player. You figure, oh, here we go. We finally have a quarterback. Yeah, you're right. You finally have a quarterback. You still have crap everywhere else. What good is that? How'd it work for Russell Wilson in Seattle? There is no shortcut. There are no easy ways. Or there is no easy way. There are no shortcuts. However, I don't know English. Mike is calling from Rye. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Sal. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good. I listened to you for a long time. This is the first time you and I had pleasure speaking.
Appreciate you calling.
Okay. Before you answer my question, I want you to think very, very carefully. Do the Giants management and fans have the stomach for a 3 to 4 year rebuild?
I think if it's done properly, I mean, think about this. What's the alternative? Trying not to totally rebuild and doing what they've done the last decade or so?
Okay. Do you think they have now, I'm not picking on the Jets, but because they're a separate team. Can the Giants go into next year telling the fans, listen, guys, it's going to be 3 years before we win, like the Jets are doing now? I don't think
If you knew that it was done right, look, the alternative at this point, Mike, is what they're
okay,
not.
let me give you the alternative.
The fans are not dumb enough to think that all of a sudden the Giants might win next year.
No. I'm not. But the alternative is okay, as you stated before, and you stated very eloquently, is that a new set of eyes is needed. Now, okay, listen. The term "get rid of Gettleman," it's being like he's being fought. He's not. The Giants don't fire people like him. He's going to be put out to retirement. So that's a non.
Who cares? Just get him the hell out of here. Just as long as he doesn't have anything to do with those picks. I don't care how they get rid of him. Just get rid of him. Okay. That's a fait accompli. What the Giants need to do. And by the way, a decision has not been made on that yet. So there are reports.
I think.
Oh, we assume.
Wink, wink.
You know what happens when
wink,
you assume.
Wink, handshake.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's what you think, but there has not been a definitive decision.
Let's all. That's the logical thinking. Okay, we bring in a new guy now. And I know that you're not a Daniel Jones fan. I know that you're on the fence about Judge. And I know that, but what I think we need to do is put some type of continuity in. That's the way we're going to win. Okay, now you're saying bring a bridge quarterback in. I mean, come on. Daniel Jones will be on his 4th year next year, still on his rookie deal, so it's not going to hurt the cap. It's not going to be anything.
No, it's just going to hurt our eyes watching him week in, week out. And it slows down the process. You talk about the Giant fans going to be paid. The process of getting back to playing good football.
Okay, what did the Bears do 2 years ago with Trubisky? They made him play the 4th year. They decided he wasn't the man.
And where are the Bears now?
And they cut him.
And where are the Bears now? They suck again.
They got their quarterback.
Oh no, they hope.
They lost a playoff game.
They hope they have a quarterback.
They lost a playoff game, and they think that they got their quarterback in Justin Fields, which is fine. Now, as far as continuity goes, hey, listen, unless you tell me that the Giants are going to get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, I'm all for it.
Well, why? Why would you want those guys? Are they going to make the Giants? First of all, Aaron Rodgers would never come here.
Agreed. They're not going to make them better, but is Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, but it's different. It's different. You're not the point is, Mike, and thanks for the call. You're not giving. I'm not saying bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick or Cam Newton or Teddy Bridgewater because it's going to make the Giants a playoff team. You're missing the point. I'm saying bring in those guys because we know Daniel Jones ain't it. Or at least I know Daniel Jones ain't it. And I'm not giving up top picks to go get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. Not for this team. They're not worth it. So I understand you want continuity, but if the thing that you have here sucks, then why keep continuity there? They need to change it. There's a time for continuity and there's a time to blow things up. We're at the blow it up point. We have reached the blow it up portion of the program yet again with the New York Football Giants.